here. That's what I'm talking about. But I do have a question for you. I'm about to bring out two of our favorite guests. I mean, everybody loves these guys, two incredible voices. But I do have a question. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? You know what time it is. I'm going to bring out Dave Klein to bring out our two wonderful, amazing actors. Come on out here, Dave Klein, your moderator. Give it up for him.
Hi, how are you all? My name is Dave Klein. I'm a senior producer for GameSpot and Fandom, but that is not important. What is important is that we have Tom and Roger here with us. Please put it up for them. Give them a round of applause.
It's Santa Squid.
And Tom Kenney as well. Please give a round of applause.
Hi, Dave.
Hello. How are you doing?
Good. I'm glad I didn't wear my red leather pants today. I almost did. I almost wore my red leather pants.
So
but then, since I had slept in them, I was like, forget it. Yeah.
That's right.
So,
I am.
Hi, everybody.
hey!
I get the feeling that I might be a little more caffeinated than y'all.
I'm getting there.
You got some in your beard.
Good. Save it for later.
So to start us off, what actually led you into voice acting and your interest in voice acting?
Puberty. I had a really high voice when I was a kid, and then when I went through puberty, it dropped like the mumps, and I decided to be a television announcer. And I was. And whenever I go under a bridge, you can't hear me.
I guess I still have a high voice. I don't know. But, so I'm still waiting. What's puberty like? Tell me. Tell me, oh sensei. What's puberty like? I'm waiting for it to hit. Maybe today will be the day.
Acne.
But for me, it was just a really, probably like you too, Roger. I know like you too, a lifelong interest in voices, a lifelong interest in voices and sounds and accents and stuff like that, and character actors and animation and just weirdness and just going, how can I be a part of that? You know, is there a way to make a living doing that?
And make money.
Yes. Yeah, if I could just, I don't even want to make money. It's like, as long as I'm not living under a bridge, I'm happy, you know? You gotta keep your expectations low, but yeah, that's what happened. And then I did stand-up, I did sketch comedy. Roger has a very checkered and very similar career.
Very checkered and just. It's actually the same thing. I went in broadcasting, like I say, had a late-night comedy show back in Arkansas, and then got into this kind of stuff. And
what about the National Lampoon? That's a cool credit.
National Lampoon, yes, I got involved with them right about Animal House time, and they were going to do the next movie, the next Jaws movie, but as a comedy, and they were going to call it Jaws 3, People 0. And that was the best part of the script. And Mr. Spielberg stepped in because we were going to show how the shark worked, so we canceled it. I had a love scene with Bo Derek, too. That's my Hollywood tragedy story.
I bet she would have said that you were a 10.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, Jaws 3 in 3D with Dennis Quaid did turn out to be kind of a comedy, if you've ever seen it.
Oh, yeah.
So SpongeBob has been going on for, forever at this point, but
127 years.
Yes, that sounds accurate. Yeah, 127
in Squid years. Yeah.
But what's interesting is even when a show has multiple seasons, it doesn't get the fan base that SpongeBob has. So when did you first realize just the magnitude of SpongeBob and the fan base that it had?
Well, I mean, next year, 2024 is going to be year 25 of SpongeBob.
25.
Which is,
The silver anniversary.
a quarter century of voice, and it's never been out of production, right? So, like, for well over a third of my life, I've been voicing this guy, you know? So it's pretty weird. But yeah, 25. What's funnier than 24? 25.
The sad part is it's only a tenth of my life.
Roger's aging in reverse. He's the Benjamin Button of cartoon voice.
SpongeBob is the same age as my socks.
Yeah, the magnitude of it is insane. And you know, it was kind of a slow build. It was one of those things where the first season it was okay. And then there was actually, I don't know if you remember this, Roger, right around season 4, there was actually a rap party that we went to where the show was done. And we went and I thought it was a season wrap party. And I was like, hey, a wrap party. See you next. See you at the kickoff party for next season. They go, oh no, this is a series wrap party. So like, wrap the wrap. Yeah, da 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 da. So yeah, we were like, wait, what? And then I think Nickelodeon looked around and did a little math, and I think they were like, wow, we're selling a lot of macaroni and cheese and bed sheets and stuff. We better keep this going. So they did, and here we are 25 years later, it's still happening.
I take full responsibility for the merchandise because I collect it all. So all that stuff he just mentioned is in my house right now.
Roger, yeah, by the way, that is true. Roger is, are you still on the verge of getting Guinness Book of Records certified?
I believe I have the world's largest collection of merchandise and memorabilia and stuff that no one else can have because it's just cast stuff. And so I'm submitting it to Guinness soon, so if you think you have a big collection, bring it on. I have no house now.
You have a very understanding wife, I must say.
Oh yes, very understanding.
My wife is like, I hate clutter. I'm like, I'm all about clutter.
So we're gonna see an episode of Hoarders soon, starring you. Yeah.
Yes.
The hoarder, yes.
On an all new subaquatic hoarders.
Squid Woman.
Underwater hoarders starts Friday.
So Tom, what do your kids think of SpongeBob? And have you ever driven them to school and then they're like, please don't do the voice, Dad. This is so embarrassing.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. They're like, don't tell anybody you're SpongeBob. The kids freak out. But they're 26 and 20 now, so they kind of grew up with SpongeBob. Like we said, this is gonna be the 25th year. So my son, who's now 26, was a little tight, like a couple of years old when SpongeBob started, and my daughter, who's 20, grew up. It's just kind of
It's like the family business, it's like the Godfather. It's like the five families.
So to them, it's not even that exotic, It's kind of like it's like your dad owns a hardware store or something. It's just what he does,
Yeah. What do you think it is about SpongeBob that's made it endure to this day?
Yet I always make the comparison of us and Looney Tunes. They're both essentially 11-minute cartoons. We're not a half-hour show. We're a half-hour show, but each one has the 11-minute cartoons. And we utilize animation, what I call the classic animation. You get hit with a frying pan and your face turns the shape of a frying pan. SpongeBob goes on a crying jag and he turns into a lawn sprinkler. This is the kind of thing that's specific to animation and silliness. And it appeals to a little kid because it's colorful and it's a cartoon. Your teenagers, they get a joke they didn't get when they were 6, and the same thing when they were 18 and adults. And then the adults turn the whole show onto their kids too, so we're multi-generational. But essentially, funny is funny, and it's gonna work when you can please the crowd and make them laugh. And I still laugh when I watch.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of comfort food too. It's like it's like the Krabby Patty of TV, It's like it's comfort food. SpongeBob is always going to be SpongeBob. Squidward's always going to be Squidward. Patrick's always going to be Squidward. The same way,
I'm Squidward.
The same way that comfort food, little Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny's always going to be Bugs Bunny, Tweety Bird. Yeah, and when they try to reinvent those characters too much, fans don't like it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, let's put a backwards baseball cap and some chains on the Tasmanian Devil. You know what I mean? You don't need to do that.
No.
They're good. It's like you don't need to change Superman's costume. It's cool. Red and blue with an S on it. There's a reason it's been around for 100 freaking years. So, and I think SpongeBob. I mean, you could write 20 term papers on this, speculating on it, but also I think SpongeBob was the last big thing that happened before the internet took over the world. It's kind of one of the last big pop cultural things that hit right before internet started ruling our lives. So I think there's something about that. It kind of straddles the pre-internet and post-internet eras. And also, and this was Steven Hillenburg being very conscious about this, was that he wanted SpongeBob to be a really hopeful, wide-eyed, optimistic character. Like nothing can bring him down. Like people around him might try to bring him down, and they might be a little jealous of SpongeBob's, sunny view on life. But that was really needed back then, you know, during the George W. years or whatever. And now it's even more needed, you know, since, you know. And I think it's just that it's like it's happy and it's positive. You know, SpongeBob is like this positive force in the world. It's all good vibes. There's no downside. So maybe. What do you think? Is there anything to that? You're like, Tom Kenny's so full of crap. No.
That was the first word that Stephen gave to us.
Crap?
In describe. No, that was the second word. But describing what SpongeBob was about was the word innocence, and that's where the whole germ came from. And I just think like the Beatles, we were just the right thing for the right moment in time, and we just kept going, and we've sold almost as many songs as the Beatles.
And Steve was also obviously super smart and super intuitive and knew that if it's just about the positive guy and it's unrelenting positivity, well, then it's like Care Bears or something, you know what I mean? So you know, you put people like Squidward, you know, Mr. Krabs, Plankton, you know, Patrick, you know, who you know, Patrick is a force of nature unto himself, and those forces that can't grind SpongeBob down. Like he just won't. Maybe he will be momentarily. He might go. You know, it's gonna be the best day ever. Oh no, it's not the best day ever. And then he goes to bed and he goes, you know what? Tomorrow's gonna be the best day ever. You know, that's kind of how I live my life because I have to, or I'll go freaking crazy. So you know, I have to have that outlook on life. Like better things are coming, no matter what's going on in the world. You know, positivity will rule eventually, and or will win the day, or push back on the negativity and the darkness. So, like if I don't proceed like that, I'm losing my marbles.
I'm just the opposite. I am Squidward. If everything is not something I can complain about, I'm not happy.
But that's strangely comforting in its own way.
Yeah, that's weirdly optimistic to say like, oh, if things aren't awful, then I'm not happy. It's like, then you be sad all the time, you're like, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah,
That's great.
well, I always say that it takes more effort and more strength to be positive than to be negative. Like, negative's easy.
Yeah.
Well, negative's easy. Who can't be negative? You know, big deal, you know.
Oh, shut up. See, that was easy. That was just easy.
But you're so positive about your negativity.
I am.
So I work for Fandom, which essentially, if you look up a Wikipedia page on SpongeBob, that's Fandom. Encyclopedia SpongeBob is Fandom. So we reached out to them to ask questions to you guys. So from Nubasic07, and because you guys spoke on the internet, this makes perfect sense. What do you think of SpongeBob memes, and do you have a favorite one? And from me, why is it Handsome Squidward?
The weirdest episode ever in the history of episodes is the handsome Squidward, the two faces of Squidward. It's just absolutely wonderful. And the memes, I don't get memes. I'm showing my age, I guess. I just don't get them. But the one that outside of handsome Squidward was the future. I never got it. Steven was saying, just do it this way, and like you're doing a crunch, and okay, fine. And it turned into a meme. I don't understand it.
By the way, one of the most disturbing cosplays I've ever seen is Handsome Squidward.
Yes.
Wow. Have you seen it yet? Like there's a guy that like molded
Yeah.
like a head, like a Handsome Squidward head, like really like, I mean, it's beautiful. But when you see that walking around in real life, you're like, ah!
I just got a message from a woman that made herself up. I mean,
Careful.
physically like that, and went out on a date with her husband to Chick-fil-A. And she's walking around this, and I wrote her back, said that is the oddest and most brave date I've ever heard of. Because she's not a guy, and she was doing that, and the makeup was absolutely perfect.
Fantastic.
Floating around Chick-fil-A.
Well, I do understand the memes, maybe because I have kids, you know. But what I think is cool about the memes is that they're taking, you know, they're kind of homemade. They're kind of like folk art, you know. I kind of dig that, you know. It's kind of like people. It's like somebody who finds like an old typewriter in a dumpster and makes like a crazy insect sculpture out of it or something like that. Like it's people making art out of stuff that's already there, you know, which I love and Hillenburg loved, you know. So they take these moments, these visual moments in SpongeBob time, and then they just figure out what feeling does that drawing distill into. Like Future, right? That's just like when you feel like the world's going off the rails and you're just in a fetal position rocking back and forth. Like you go, yeah, that's how I feel right now. You know, like that's, and the memes are really good. And sometimes what the memes have been used for is not what originally the drawing was, but somebody co-opted it and it works perfectly. Like, as far as I know, like the drawing of SpongeBob like going like, that's not him mocking somebody in that episode. He's not like, I know you are, but what am I? You know, he's not doing that. But it looks like he is, and it's perfect to encapsulate that moment. And I gotta say, my favorite one, you know, when is I'm a head out. I love I'm a head out. I use that all the time.
My favorite one is SpongeBob's look when he realizes that Squidward does love Krabby Patties. That look,
You like Krabby Patties, don't you? You do like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward?
So, from multiple people, they asked, what is your favorite and least favorite episode of SpongeBob?
favorite what?
Favorite and least favorite episode of SpongeBob?
Least favorite?
Yeah, both.
I have one. Ever since they learned that I can scream, when SpongeBob finds Mermaid Man's barnacle, a utility belt, and put the rays on him, and he tries to get him back, and he screams about 12 different times. They make me scream every show. Well, there was an episode called The Lemonade Stand, where he accidentally, for the first time, by the way, exudes ink. They had kind of stayed away from that for a while, you know, but they had it come out of his nose. So I had to do both screaming and fear, because they had to scare me to have it do it. And then I had to make the sound of the stuff coming out of my nose, and then there was a third quality also to it. And I had to do that over and over and over again, and I was just completely exhausted by the end of the show. And I don't think it was that great a show, to tell you the truth.
Was I the voice director then?
No.
I know.
No.
I never would have made you do it so many times.
Yeah. He said, okay, do a scream, and I do like half of it. He said, okay, that's enough. We're not going to make you do anymore. I said, no, I want to. It's therapeutic for me.
Since I started voice directing a few seasons ago, I'm like, we don't need to kill these guys. You know what I mean? It's like it's not 25 years ago. We're not as young as we used to be. So it's like, as soon as I hear the scream that's going to fill the hole, I'm like, got it. You know, white paint and mustache on the Mona Lisa, baby. That was the perfect scream. So yeah, I remember that episode. And there are episodes that are really, I mean, not to complain, because it's like, oh, you know, first world problems, you make funny voices and get paid, boo, freaking who. But you know, you got to preserve this little flap of skin that makes you a living, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And when you're in your tricksters, it's you know, it gets harder. You gotta worry more. Yeah. Like back when SpongeBob first started 25 years ago, I would just scream and you know, just total punk rock. Yeah, also, I'll go for it. You know, I'm not worried about tomorrow. You know, who cares if I can talk tomorrow? Well, now I gotta worry if I can talk tomorrow. So you know, you definitely take it easy. But yeah, that I can see why you would hate that episode. I would say Band Geeks is probably my favorite episode. You know,
Band Geeks.
But sometimes that changes. I like the Good Noodle episode. You know, just because when my kids were in school, that kind of resonated. It's different. There's none that I really hate. You know what I mean? Like, there's some that I like more than others, but there's. I can't think of one that I just go, you know what I mean?
Talk about Band Geeks, though, and memes. There's a moment in there that I still think it's one of the funniest little moments. They're about to go on stage, and then Squilliam comes in and taunts them and says, "Is that your band?" And he looks over, and SpongeBob's going. and they cut back to me, and I sheepishly go, "That's his eager face."
Yep. Well, we are kind of our characters, aren't we? Yeah, that's pretty weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you have that ultimate positivity of like, I don't dislike any of them.
Yeah, I try to be anyway, but yeah, no, not as positive as SpongeBob, because that would make me insane. But yeah, you try.
So I have a question for both of you from two different people. So for Tom, who has been your favorite character to voice? and for Roger, who's been your favorite character to voice outside of SpongeBob. So let's combine that.
So, favorite character outside of SpongeBob? Because I gotta say, we still love doing these characters. You know, like it's still a privilege and a pleasure to be doing them. Like, wow, you know, get to do these characters that we like, and we still are employed doing them. You know, and the world still cares about them. You know, that's like a miracle. That's miraculous. You know, and we still can't believe it. You know, but I would say outside of let me think about that. You go first.
Outside of Squidward, my favorite voice would be Squidward outside. Because he's my man. He's to quote Star Trek, he is my first best destiny. And but I also did Professor Membrane in Invader Zim. You know, and he's a lot of fun. Zim, yeah, not that's scientifically impossible kind of thing. You know. But he's fun, but he's not as broad a canvas as Squidward is. Squidward is actually therapy for me. You know, I save a lot of the psychiatry fees because I have to scream and be sarcastic, and it just is a wealth of emotion to do for my entertainment and for a paycheck.
Well, and to that point, that's true. That's really true. Is that it is really therapeutic to be these characters, you know, and it's a lot of work. Like, I mean, since I've voice direct too, and there's three SpongeBob series, and then there's usually a Netflix movie or a game or something that's in development or happening. Like usually like 4 days a week, full days are SpongeBob oriented for me, you know, and people are like, "Don't you get sick of it?" And I'm like, "No, like if it wasn't there, I don't know what I would do. It really is therapeutic, you know. It's kind of our happy place. But I would say non-SpongeBob. Well, he's standing right over there, Mr. Simon Petrikov, the Ice King, baby. Give it up for Simon. Yeah. Fiona and Cake. Are you guys watching Fiona and Cake? Yeah. Oh, good. And I would say another one, a little deeper dive, but on Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. There was a big purple monster named Eduardo with a big kid. I really like him. Those are probably my favorite. And maybe the male from the Powerpuff Girls. Yeah. Just because it gives me a chance to do my crappy Wizard of Oz impression.
It's amazing how much range is in just those 4 voices. It's so much range.
Oh, thank you.
You know, talking about Tom, who is now our director, which is a fine director. We don't see each other live. This is the first time we have actually been in the same room for at least a year.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe at that, were you at that Patrick Star Show party?
No, I wasn't
on the rooftop.
there.
You didn't show up.
No,
you weren't at that. No. That's right. We were like, "Where's Roger?" And yeah, that's right. So that's the last time I saw most of the cast in person. But you stiffed.
Yeah, well, I didn't stiff. I had something else to do.
You were oiling your beard.
Yes. I had to wear a name tag so he'd recognize me. You know?
Hello, my name is.
No one recognizes me with the beard now. I'm getting an audition with ZZ Top, though.
Yeah.
So, one more question
Was there
from
a
me.
question? I think we answered it, right?
I think we did.
Okay,
Okay,
so
good.
yeah. One more question from me.
I'm still on the first question.
One more question from me, and we'll open up to you guys. What is your favorite song from the series?
Best day ever for me. Yeah.
Tom has an album that he wrote and produced, and this is not Nickelodeon doing. It's called Best Day Ever, and with his wonderful connections in the music